Hey everybody, it's Alan Thomas with Rethink Dieting, and it is kind of late, getting late here on the East Coast. I realize that I am about to end the day here in on Amelia Island. But for those of you that haven't joined me before, I have Rethink Dieting for Men, and this is the 67th day of 90 that I'm doing Facebook Lives. And what I talk about every night is what I've learned on my journey and how I help men overcome the weight that's holding them back from living the future that they were destined to live. And I get a chance to talk to guys really every single day, and it's interesting. In 2017, I reached 304 pounds, and that scale right there that you see in that backdrop, I stood on early one morning, and it was very dark. In fact, here I'll do something I rarely do. I'll show you a picture of the actual scale that morning. I wasn't planning to do this, but with technology, I can. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna bring this up. Bear with me. I do this all on the fly. So let's see. Okay. So let's see if this will work. If I can figure this out. Screen share. There we go. Okay, you should see it. See that right there? That's the 304 that I saw that morning. I don't ever show that very often. You can see it on my website, but what happened was those are my fat little toes on there, and that's my bathroom floor. And what happened? People say, well, why would you take a picture of your scale? That seems like a setup. Well, it really wasn't. It was the day after my 31st wedding anniversary. I hadn't weighed in a while because when you're in the 290s, it's not really exciting to jump on the scale. And I was expecting to see 298, 299, 297 because I knew it was up some, but you didn't really know how much because when you get that large, it's hard to tell. And I stood on the scale and I saw 304 pounds, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was working in life insurance business. I sold life insurance to senior citizens. That's primarily people over 65. And I realized I never met a man that was 65 years old that was over 100 pounds that I could recall. I was 55 at the time. So that meant I had 10 years or less to live, probably a lot less. I didn't have any medical conditions really to speak of at the time, other than I was just 304 pounds. And I was shocked. I knew that I would probably be known as my wife's first husband, dying early because of my morbid obesity, and all that stuff was running through my mind. And so just like any disaster, I don't know about you guys, you carry around your cell phone's always close by. I had it, and I said, oh my gosh, I grabbed my cell phone real quick, and I picked it up and I took that picture because I said, I'm likely never to see this again. I better not ever see this again, really. So that was the actual picture that morning. And it wasn't a setup. It was just what happened. But that's what happened. And when I saw that, it changed everything. And, over the next few weeks, I started, dieting, trying to figure it out. And then on March 15th, I made a commitment publicly that I was going to lose all of my weight and get down to 175 by November 22nd. That was 265 days from March 2nd when I weighed, and I hit it on November 17th. I hit it early, but I learned a lot of stuff on the way. And guys, I don't say any of this stuff to ever impress you, because I should have never been 300 pounds. Are you kidding me? 304 pounds. I should have been there. I should have been in the 170s. I should have never let it got that far out of hand, but I did. And I realized it was holding me back from a lot of stuff. It wasn't just holding me back physically. It was holding me back in my life. The fact that I would likely not live a long time, that, my life shortened, the disappointment that I would be to my family, the way it was holding me back in my business, the way it was holding me back in every way you can imagine. Because, day in, day out, when you're morbidly obese, even before I hit the 300-pound mark, it was always on my mind, and it was always such a drain to me. And so it held me back in just about everything. And so what's interesting is when I talk to men every day, you know, I can relate to the fact that they don't want to travel. They don't want to get on an airplane and be embarrassed with 2 seatbelts, or, you know, the embarrassment that goes along with, you know, applying for a job or meeting somebody for the first time, or, you know, maybe you run into somebody that you hung out with in high school that hadn't seen you in 20 years, and that's embarrassing. And, you know, there's all these embarrassing things that have become socially normalized, because it's always fine for, you know, you to eat that extra bite. But when people look at you and you're 100, 200, 300 pounds overweight, you know, they just look at you differently, and it affects everything about your life. So I really, you know, I resonate with these men I talk to, because I know what they're going through, but I also know the other side. I also know the power that you get when you start getting that trajectory, and you realize that this whole thing about weight loss was never just about the diet. In fact, the diet is the smaller part of it, really. And people look at me, they ask me all the time. I was asked yesterday by somebody that I hadn't talked to in a while, and they said, "Well, how'd you do it?" And I'm like, I said, "So what are you asking?" And they said, "Well, no, how did you do it?" I said, "Well, what are you asking?" Well, they wanted to know what magical diet plan I went on. Well, guess what? That what I was using, I'd actually failed on 6 or 7 times before, plus the other 70 or 80 different times I'd failed on other diets and weight loss plans. So we tend to ask the wrong question. I did. I asked it for years. I was always looking for a simple fix, something that would take that pain away quickly, so that I could get back to Dairy Queen and have another hot fudge sundae, or I could, you know, run down to, you know, to the burger joint and eat 2 burgers with fries and all the Moose Tracks ice cream I wanted. I really just wanted to have what I wanted when I wanted it, and I didn't want to put in the effort to really do what was necessary. And so you know, going through that process, when I started working with men, it happened a little bit serendipitously. That's a word I don't use very often, but it wasn't something I planned. Somebody reached out to me about a year and a half ago, and they told them that, you know, they heard my story, and they said that their weight had held them back too. And it's, you know, it's never about just what you eat. Do you have to change what you eat? Of course you do. Of course you do. Do you have to change how you move your body? Do you exercise? Of course you do. You know, all those things are givens, but those are the 2% or the 10% of the equation. The diet is not the magic. The biggest obstacle to weight loss, it was interesting. One of my clients today had an aha moment, and they have to come to this on their own conclusion. And he really articulated it beautifully. But essentially what he said was the biggest obstacle to weight loss, and I believe this with all my heart, is not the diet, it's not the exercise, it's not the plan you're on. It's, are you willing to take responsibility for every single bite you put in your mouth, and understand that it's 100% controllable, barring some rare genetic or you know, disorder, or some disorder that you're on a medication that, you know, something that's almost, the possibility is almost zero that it ever happens, but that it's right here between your ears. And it really was. It was between my ears. It was, and people say to me all the time, "Well, how do you stick to it?" Well, that's where the magic comes in. And that's where, and if there is magic, there is no magic. There is no secret pill. There is no Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, the curtain got pulled back. But there's strategies and techniques that I learned along the way that made me completely rethink this whole dieting process. And it's amazing to me. Every day I get to talk to men that are losing weight. They're doing all these, it's just funny to me. They're finding that these simple things they can do that changes their perspective, that ends up yielding results like they've never gotten in their whole life. And then all of a sudden their business gets better at work, their relationships get better, they're getting along with people, they're feeling more confidence. All these things start happening that have nothing to do with weight. And so that's where the gold is. I tell every one of these men that I work with, there's a vein of gold in there that I'm looking for. And when you find it, when you hit it, you know it. And I see, you know, I see clients of mine that their income starts to go up, and it's like, what did that have to do with weight? They said, "Oh, I'd have never done it if I hadn't lost my weight." And it's, they get these aha moments, and I know what it's like. And so it's interesting to me that something so simple is so hard. And I get it, and I'm not saying this to shame anybody that's listening to this who struggles with their weight. But to understand that the key to this whole process is between your ears. It was between mine. The key to the 100% the key to the process is there. Do you have to change what you eat? Yeah. Hello. Is it magical? Is there a magic pill to take? No, there's no magic pill. Do you have to do crazy, silly, crazy exercises? No, not unless you just want to and are physically able. But can you lose your weight once and for all? Yeah, you can. And so is it easy? No. And I tell people all the time, it's not easy, but when the clients get this and they're like, oh my God, that's all it is. And they wake up to that fact, and then they apply the techniques that I learned in my journey. And I tell people all the time, I'm not a doctor. I don't have any medical designations. I'm not even a nurse. I'm not that nurses are bad. Nurses probably know more than doctors. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any kind of medical designation. I don't have any nutrition training, dietitian training. I'm not a physical fitness expert. I mean, I'm just a guy that I figured a way through the wilderness of obesity, and I help the clients that I serve take one step at a time through that wilderness. Is it fast? Well, it's depending on how you look at it. But it's amazing when it works, and it's fun to see. So, be encouraged. If you're somebody that's watching this and you've struggled and you feel stuck and you don't know what to do next, reach out to me. There's on the in the information underneath or above this video, you'll see it's www.transformmyfuture.com/apply. You can go to that link and you can apply for a breakthrough session with me. That's where we'll have an honest conversation. A lot of people are interested in joining my program. It is not right for everybody. And, I have a short application where just so that I know who I'm talking to a phone, but I really need to get an understanding of whether it's right for you or not. And it's not, again, it's not for everybody, but it's so much fun to see these men have success that they've never had before. So, it is the biggest obstacle to weight loss. In fact, it's the biggest obstacle to a lot of things, is taking personal responsibility for that which you can control. And you can control it. There's a way to do it. There's a process. And I just would say, be encouraged. Don't give up. If you're stuck, reach out to me there. You can also watch a free masterclass at rethinkdieting.com. rethinkdieting.com, and you can reach that. Also, I'm going to be I'm working on a transcription of that right now, that because I've had that request a couple times, and so I'm doing a transcription. So if you don't want to watch a video, you can do that. You can send me an email at alan@transformmyfuture.com. That's ALAN, Alan, ALAN @transformmyfuture.com. And when that I'll send you a link so that you can get a copy of that transcription of that webinar, if a masterclass that I did, because it's about 48 minutes. It takes a little bit to watch, but I think you'll watch it, you'll find that it's worth your time. You're going to understand things that you probably of what I went through. And again, it's fun to see it happen. Be encouraged. I failed for 40 years at weight loss. I was 55 years old before I got my weight under control. And today it's fun to see people get freedom and get out of that prison of obesity once and for all. So you guys have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully earlier than this, because this is late on the East Coast. It's after 9 o'clock now. Gosh, see you guys later. Bye.